Okay, here we go. We'll call this committee of the whole meeting to order on September 23rd, 2025 at 6:02 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
Boy, if you do that and the baby's asleep, oh my God.
Okay, does anybody like to speak under public participation this evening? Okay, for the record, there is no public participation. Okay, we're going to take a brief pause so we can see who has a vehicle. There's multiples going now. Okay, I think we're good. It's David's fault. He knocked the nameplate down. Okay. All right. First topic up tonight is item number 4, dechlorination addition at the sewer plant. Mr. Bounds.
Good evening, all. So this is one that we've got to bring to you as part of the permit renewal that we went through in January. This is a new requirement for the permit to dechlorinate the disinfected water out at the plant. We add bleach to the water for pathogen inactivation so we can discharge it to Salt Creek as part of our permit. We now have to remove the bleach for a lack of a better term, understanding, right? We've got to dechlorinate the water so it's not going into Salt Creek chlorinated. This project is going to add a new chemical building out at the plant and 2 lines that tie into our discharge line that runs down to Salt Creek, and we will inject sodium bisulfite to remove the bleach then. Absolutely, Steve.
What will we have to do to remove the sodium?
I don't have a single plant anywhere that is required to remove the sodium bisulfite. There is consideration, not that it's a consideration here, that because it is a sodium compound, that you could potentially have a salinity issue. We have no salinity key performance indicators in our permit. Salinity is not something that we are required to monitor, or there are any limits at our plant. So don't expect any, but city skated by without dechlorinating their water for 20 years. EPA, as of this permit renewal, is no longer going to let us do that. So we've got to move forward with this. Grunlow Buildings was the low bidder. We received, I believe, I didn't print that page out, 5 bids. Thank you. We received 5 bids. Grunlow was the only one that came in underneath the engineering estimate. So both the construction and the construction engineering have been budgeted for, and we should be good to go. Total project cost is estimated at $437,664.
Mr. Bateman.
I know in an email that you sent me that you had not worked with Grunin before. Have you done some more research and you're comfortable with that?
So to provide some insight on what Mr. Bateman said there, yes, I have never personally worked with Grunlow Buildings. I don't want to speak for CMT, but I believe that it is the same case for them. Their references in their bid were all contacted. Every city that they have done water and wastewater work that was contacted was very happy with their work. They've also done jobs of substantially larger than this, so we don't see any concern with moving forward with the low bid.
Okay. Any other questions? Place this item on the regular agenda. Okay, we'll place item number 4 on the regular agenda. Thank you. Okay, the next item is item number 5, proclamation for Constitution Week, September 17th through 23rd, 2025. This is an after the fact item on the agenda. They came to us and needed to know if I would sign the proclamation for them for this particular topic, and I said I would, but I'd still like the council to vote on it. So if there's no concerns, I can go ahead and read the proclamation, which is pretty typical of what I do. But if there's any questions, let me know, or Miss Bateman, she brought it to me. So proclamation reads, Proclamation 2025-521, Constitution Week, September 17th through the 23rd, 2025. Whereas the Constitution of the United States of America, the guardian of our liberties, embodies the principles of limited government in a republic dedicated to the rule of law. And whereas September 17th, 2025 marks the 238th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. And whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. Therefore, I, Tracy L. Welch, Mayor of the City of Lincoln, do hereby proclaim September 17th through the 23rd, 2025 as Constitution Week in the City of Lincoln, and ask our citizens to affirm the ideals the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained. Okay. Are we okay placing this on the regular agenda? Okay. Place that item on the regular agenda as well. Okay, moving down to item number 6, request a permit, close 10th Street between Union and Chestnut for Halloween, Friday, October 31st, 2025. Ms. Bateman?
This is the annual, the Steelofts residence that he comes and closes the street for safety purposes. He goes all out for the kids and decorate and for trick-or-treating, so that's what this same closure as usual.
Place it on the consent agenda? Okay. We'll place item number 6 on the consent agenda. Okay, next item is item number 7, updates to code 9-10-4, semi-trucks and trailers prohibited on certain streets. Mr. Landers.
Yes, this subject started well before our resurfacing projects this year. There were some concerned citizens on North Union Street, and the semi-traffic that had been coming down through there. So with the resurfacing done on Union Street, we want to eliminate the truck traffic from going from Lincoln Parkway up to Woodlawn Road, basically. We would rather keep those trucks on the state routes. So that is what triggered a lot of this, the reason for this, bringing this forward. If you look at the paper that was provided in the packet, basically I just copy and pasted the ordinance and the list of the streets. And if you look down through the streets, a lot of these streets are north of Woodlawn or Keokuk, and like out in Starkey Acres, Kankakee, Logan, Ottawa, Nicholson Road. And basically what we've had some issues with in the past is the old bottle factory is a warehouse facility. And you get a lot of truck drivers that aren't familiar with the town. You follow their GPS basically, and they come off of Lincoln Parkway and try to get into the bottle factory. So there were some streets that weren't included in that. So all the edits are in yellow, the ones that we would like to change. The first one that's highlighted, Kankakee Street north of Keokuk Street, that would basically be from Lincoln Parkway to Keokuk. And then the rest of those streets are north-south streets. They're in the same area. And then when you get to Omaha, Denver, Ophir, and some of those streets, they're east-west streets, which come off of Logan Street. So we allow the trucks to come down Logan, but they shouldn't go any farther than Ophir so they can get to that facility. And then there's a couple through streets that are listed in there too, and I just made just some small changes. Pulaski Street from Ladue to 121. It actually has an 8-ton weight limit on it. And then I added Jefferson Street from Woodlawn to Lincoln Parkway, along with the Union Street, and then Wyatt Avenue is no through traffic basically for semi trucks. And then Broadway Street from downtown to link to 121 is also no through traffic, truck traffic also, so they're not traveling through the downtown.
Alderman Parrott.
Yeah, thank you. Well, so just a couple quick questions on this language, semi trucks and trailers. So is that if a semi does not have a trailer, are they allowed to go down in it? What about like cement trucks and
Well, if they're
trucks of certain weights
delivering,
and-
if they're delivering within the area, there's not much you can do. We're just trying to prevent them from driving through. So if there's a semi that has a delivery in the neighborhood, you really can't stop that. But let's just say if there's a semi that's coming down Woodlawn Road or coming from the Eaton, and they want to get up to the Woodlawn Road to travel east or west, they should use the highway around town instead of coming through there.
so we're not talking about any truck that has a trailer. We're just talking about semi trucks that have trailers.
Basically, that's what it says. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
So Donahue.
So is all of this marked? Or-
Some of it is signed, and then we have some that we have to sign yet.
So my only thought is maybe some sort of education at the bottle factory still.
We've talked to them.
Okay.
I've talked to them.
It's probably a weekly occurrence.
Yeah,
that
it's-
they're
it-
down Logan Street.
It's not the company that mainly runs it.
Right.
It's the trucking companies that come in there on deliveries that aren't related to the trucking company.
I mean, I'd
I've
like
been
to
in the
think that putting a
office.
sign is going to help this, but
I've been in the office a few times, and talked to him about it. And Joe himself Chief Meister has patrolled it himself and had other officers patrol it because we got complaints. So we've been doing what we can to try to prevent it from happening. So
Yeah, my only request would be, in the interest of education, that if the council does pass this, obviously signage goes up. But Chief Meister, I would just ask your department to try to stop and educate before immediately writing citations. Because I think once they get stopped and they start talking among themselves, those who drive those routes often, they'll keep each other in check. Okay.
a lot of it has already got signs up. We updated signs 2 years ago. So there's still some that needs to go up on some of these newer streets that we've listed.
Yeah.
And some of it, there's also a few old signs out there that need to be updated too.
Yeah, I think this is important. As Walt said, Union Street repaving really prompted this discussion again. But we're investing a lot of money and time in our roads, and the money doesn't go as far as it used to. So we really need to preserve the roads as long as we can. And if these are the type of actions we need to do it, then it seems logical to me. And I know the residents would appreciate it that live in those neighborhoods. Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Landers? Okay, place this on the regular agenda.
Is this an ordinance?
Yeah. Okay, next up is lease agreement between the City of Lincoln and Lincoln Economic Advancement and Development, Inc., LEAD, at 500 Broadway Street. Ms. Runge, would you like to step forward, please? Okay, so an intro for the council. When we had early discussions about purchasing 508 Broadway, one of those topics that came up was the implementation of a economic development center at 500 Broadway, which is on the corner there of Broadway and Chicago. So I had some early conversations with Andrea, and I expressed to her how I thought LEAD would be perfect for that building. For all intents and purposes, LEAD is our Chamber of Commerce here in town. Andrea is performing at that level. She is, working on behalf of the City of Lincoln. And I think that building could serve as an incubator. Also, it can serve as a one-stop shop for new businesses. Also, those who are seeking information about business retention. Those are the type of people I think can go into that building. There's obviously other use cases, but I think it makes sense that if we're asking people to come in there, that we have somebody in the building that is educated and can direct them and educate them properly. So I feel Andrea and Lead is that person and that organization. We've worked through some of the details. What is in your packet was a draft of an agreement that the city attorney and I worked on. It was just a first stab at it. I think we're pretty close in talking with Andrea. One change, though, that I would make in here is in talking with Andrea and others, between when this went on the packet last week and now, is that there is a request in here for $150 a month. In looking back at that, I think that there should be no lease amount on there, and I'll tell you why. It's because Andrea is going to be serving the city of Lincoln in that capacity. Also, she is going to be hiring somebody else, and I'll let her speak about that. They will be in that position, and they can help us manage the incubator and that space and ensure that those who are occupying it are getting what they need and working on behalf of the city. So in lieu of that, I don't necessarily feel that we should be charging rent for that space. She is not paying rent in the space that she's at now. While that's not necessarily our concern, I think this would be an easier transition for her. We do still provide support in our budget for Lead, and I will advocate to continue to do so because we need to push for economic development. But that's my rationale on the agreement and then the brief change. Before I open it up to the council, Andrea, would you like to speak?
I'm just really here to start a conversation. I mean, I think we've established a really good partnership over the past almost 5 years of Lead's existence here. I'm really excited about the opportunity to get something like that going, especially in our downtown, where businesses can come in and maybe pay a portion of their net income towards rent instead of paying fair market, and really get an opportunity to have that incubator experience where they are led and mentored through their early stages of business. So I'm excited about that opportunity. That said, I do that now, just not in one centralized location. So I'm just here basically to have this discussion with you all and see how we can figure this out for the betterment of economic development here in Lincoln.
Okay. Thoughts? Nobody? Mr. Parrott?
The mayor mentioned an assistant of some sort. Can you help share some information on that?
Sure. Lead has a grant through through ICJO, which is the Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority. And we are in the middle of taking it from the first year, which was kind of a pilot. We performed well. I performed well enough that they are extending that for 2 years. So I'm able to adjust the budget to provide for an executive assistant. The mayor and I had toured the building. There is a reception area there. It would be my anticipation that that person would sit there and then be the first person that people would see when they came into the incubator space. You're welcome.
Other questions? Okay, so Andrea, did you have other feedback on the lease, or was the amount was really
That was the one, and then we had talked about internet access as a part of the utility.
Yeah.
Because I get that as an in-kind donation in the building that I'm in. So because outside of the ICJA grant, Lead is primarily funded through local donations. And as much as I want to be a good partner, I really want to make sure that I'm doing right by my donors as well. And if I can have free space with free internet and utilities in one building, it's hard to justify moving for an expense. But if we can find a common ground there, I think that it's the best thing to empower Lincoln's economic health and vitality, which is Lead's mission.
Yeah, and we're working on getting internet down to that building now, among other things. I think that the cost for the internet could be absorbed through the incubator occupiers. So we're looking at that. There's some other things that we're working on as well that I think will offset that cost. So, and I don't see that LEED is going to be a heavy consumer of bandwidth in your operation. So, yeah.
No, it's usually just me and some spreadsheets.
Yeah. Okay. That being said, is the council okay if we put this agreement on the agenda for next week? The regular agenda? Okay. Okay. The week after next, it's a bye week, right? Right. Yep. Okay. All right. I think we're good, Andrea.
Awesome. I would just invite you all on September 29th at 5:30. That's a Monday. We have a program that we're running on Hope on Fifth for everyday professional skills. We have several people who are either coming to us from the community or who are residents there that are receiving their certificates of completion that night. So we're having networking with Cake and Punch. And since it's a bye week, if you find yourself itching to do city work on a night off, we'd love to have you there.
And you have another event coming up too, right? The local
Career Spark.
Yeah.
The Logan County Career Spark is happening October 17th at the Rec. That's Friday morning. We have about just under 300 eighth graders coming in from all over Logan County. We've got about 34 current businesses in 8 different career clusters where the students will have interactive things to do, activities at each place where they can learn about local jobs. So it's our second year. Happy to have it be such a success that we have even more students and even more businesses in a larger location coming up this year.
Perfect. Thank you for all you're doing for Lincoln. We appreciate it.
Andrea,
you.
what time was the thing Monday?
5:30. It's at Hope on Fifth. And there's cake.
And there's cake. Okay, thank you. Okay, next item, it's kind of in line with the building and the things that are going on in that area, is item number 9, a discussion of creation of an agreement for rental use for events at the depot at 101 North Chicago Street. So there's a few things that we've been working on down there. I would actually say that the Gold Star event that happened down there today is a perfect example of use of that building. For those who were unable to attend, I know it was briefly mentioned, but Peggy, do you want to talk about that event and how it went in that space?
Yeah. A gentleman came into City Hall probably 3 months ago and asked if we had a place in town that could hold the Gold Star to come in town and on bicycles and so they can have a rest and snack, and mentioned the depot. He came back later and looked in the window and went on about how great that would be to do that there. So they came in today. There was about 25, 30 bicyclists. It was great event. Joe, thank you for your guys bringing them all the way into town. ISP brought them to the edge of Lincoln, but then Joe brought them in the rest of the way with ISP. They had some snacks and sandwiches and talk to people. It was kind of touching. But yes, that building would be a great place for anything like this, for anything going on. We had tables. Granted, there's no kitchen, but you can work around that if you got a baby shower, bridal shower, or anything that we could rent that to, or even, a community thing like we did today. It would be great.
And Ty, thank you for
No, the
bringing
flag.
the rig out and the flag.
Yeah. And Wes to make sure I didn't set no alarms off.
Yeah. So really, this is more of a discussion item, and, we don't need to get into baking a cake here and the recipe and stuff, but I really want to get a feel from the council on, are you okay with us moving forward with the idea that this could be space that could be rented for these type of events? We can put a list together of events that we think would be appropriate in there. And then we'll have to work through some details with the city attorney regarding, one of the topics that's been brought up is alcohol in a government building. Those type of things we need to work through because, frowned upon, prohibited, et cetera. So there's just a number of questions that we're going to have to talk about, but we're just trying to get a feel if the council's okay moving forward. Mr. Bateman?
My concern would be, I think we, not to be age discriminatory, but we need to make it for adult events. There's a lot of antiques in there. The ticket window, Wes, when it was remodeled, we took great care in restoring the ticket window, and it's several 100-year-old glass. So statues. So I'm just saying, I wouldn't be in favor of renting it out to birthday parties and stuff like that. I'm thinking more adult type events.
Yeah, and we're thinking, obviously, similar to what we do with other city functions, is proof of insurance. You'd have to put a deposit down, things of that nature. And we don't have to figure that all out tonight. But before we invest the time to work through it and get an agreement together with the city attorney, just wanted to figure out if the council is okay with that. I can tell you that we purchased some tables and chairs down there for the Gold Star event, and they actually worked out perfectly. We were I think, very frugal in that purchase, and it worked out nice. So really, building is positioned already for that. As part of the bank building, that had a system on the building where they could fob in employees. So we are talking with that same company about upgrading the locking mechanism on the depot so that if we do move down this road about people eventing it, we can issue them a fob. They can get in, the door's locked behind them, stuff like that, to prevent us from having to have a city employee there hand-holding them. So we've thought a lot about this, but again, I just want to make sure that we're okay moving forward with this. Mr. Parrott?
I'm trying to recall. Do we have cameras inside the facility?
We don't on the inside,
I didn't think so.
only on the outside.
I think I'd make a recommendation of putting cameras on the inside so that we could see if anything was damaged to, while the events were going on.
Yep, we can do that. We've already got a system, so it's perhaps we can just expand that system in there with some additional cameras and we'll be good. Okay, that's a good recommendation, Steve. Okay, any other questions? All right, so John, you and I can work together and we'll get something to bring back to a future cow. Yeah, and I will tell you, there's already been people that have expressed an interest in doing this. I think there's, Scott, 2 at least?
Yeah, I've had 2 requests through June of next year already.
Yeah, so, yep. Okay, unless there's any other discussion, we'll move on. Okay, next is item number 10, appointment of an additional deputy chief. Chief Meister.
Thank you, Mayor. Due to the size of this subject, I provided a pretty lengthy background and history to explain my request. Hopefully everybody had a chance to read it, but I know it is very lengthy, so and you all have busy lives outside of your duties as the council. So just to touch on a few important points, most police departments that are above 20 employees have more than one administrative deputy, whether it's a sheriff's department chief deputy or a police department deputy chief. We see this in even smaller police departments than Lincoln. Even the Logan County Sheriff's Office employs a lieutenant who has the responsibility of oversight of the operations side versus the administration side. And their staffing level, I think, is around 18 or was historically. I know they're trying to grow as well. And that doesn't include the jail administrator. So that would be another administrative position for oversight. what I've been trying to do with the police department since I got into my position as the chief is to advance the police department, new programs, new initiatives, and things like that. We really haven't changed much on the patrol and operations side over the 13 years that I've had experience here. But we are changing on the administrative side as far as community programs. We're investing a lot in, we have 2 school resource officers now, and there was actually an attempt a few years ago to get 2 more, but it didn't quite work out the way we wanted it to between the schools and the department. Community policing officer positions, DARE program, and the task deflection initiative, which I've touched on just a little bit with some of the council members, which is requiring a lot of time and effort, a lot of research, and a lot of time that I have spent doing meetings and community events and things like that. My vision is that the operations side gets a deputy chief who will be a uniformed officer that is capable of helping out in both criminal investigations division and patrol division, whereas the administrative deputy chief will be responsible for oversight of programs like I just talked about. One key factor is that we have no supervisor that is qualified to evaluate positions such as like a school resource officer. I've worked just about every position in the police department except for school resource or canine. I'm not a certified school resource officer, but yet every year we do employee evaluations. How am I to properly evaluate a school resource officer if I've never been one or don't have any experience in it? That's just one of the glaringly obvious things. So what I did instead, whereas we used to have no real evaluation process for the school resource officers, I went to the schools and I asked them, fill out this survey about your school resource officer, both the administrators and the teachers that they work with. And that's about the only process I have in place for that evaluation at this point. This subject did bring up quite a few questions. One, are we asking to employ another police officer? Our current number is 28 sworn. No, that is not the case. We are at 28 sworn now, first time that we've been fully staffed in almost 5 years. The 28th position was created by Paul Adams when he was the chief of police, and that position was dedicated to the criminal investigations division. All the years before that, we only had 3 in criminal investigations traditionally, 2 general crimes detectives and a narcotics dedicated detective. The 4th was supposed to be a violent crimes detective. It wasn't supposed to be. It was a violent crimes detective. Since we've been so short-staffed, that last position was just never filled. So this isn't asking for an additional guy. This is asking for a transition from criminal investigations to administration to assist me in our daily activities. Just to go over a few of the responsibilities that police chiefs and deputy chiefs have to do. One of them I first wrote down, and this subject I actually started working on back in 2022, but we were just never staffed to the point that it could have even been possible. So back then I was working on a LESO gear return. LESO is a program that you get government equipment basically gifted or loaned to the police department. When you're done with it, you got to give it back. Well, it took me months and months and piles of paperwork to the ATF because something was done improperly when we received the equipment that I couldn't even give it back to them. So it took me an insane amount of time to get through that. Surplus equipment sales, new equipment purchases, vehicle purchases, RFPs for large purchases like that. Equipment inventory is a huge one. We have a lot of stuff that we got to keep track of. School resource and special services contracts. So we have to review and approve anytime somebody requests to hire officers for, you know, a security detail or an event that they want extra people for. Make sure that we have enough that we can dedicate people to that, as well as cover our responsibilities as just a patrol body. Vehicle fleet maintenance. So vehicle management and maintenance is always a busy subject. We have almost 30 cars. We have to make sure that we maintain them. So oil changes, getting them different places to get tires rotated, or just whatever kind of maintenance they may need. Another big project was the camera project, the Avigilon project, which led into the Downtown Safety Initiative projects. These things all take time. Policy creation, implementation, and updates. So we have about a 900 and some page policy manual. It constantly changes and evolves with legislation, both federally and at the state level, as well as just best practices. Budget preparation, account management. I don't need to tell you what that is. Union negotiations take a lot more time to prepare so that we can limit the amount of time that we have to all spend at the table with the city and the union. A lot of work goes in during the office hours to prep that stuff. Hiring and recruiting, obvious stuff there. Administrative audits. So, for instance, our evidence room, evidence and property. At any given time, the Lincoln Police Department has about 5,000 to 6,000 pieces of property in storage or in evidence. We have to do a complete, it's not even an audit, it's a complete inventory every year. And then audits should be done, just every once in a while as well, of the same subject. Community events, fire and police commission meetings and communications, that also goes into your testing and promotional processes for corporals and sergeants, and that takes some time. And then a few things you may not know about me. I'm a voting member of the Central Illinois Law Enforcement Executives. That's a group that meets together once a month down in Springfield, but has other meetings, smaller meetings from time to time as well. It's extremely important for networking. We have keynote speakers at every meeting. They share new legislation, changes in different policies, all kinds of things that are very helpful for an administrator. I'm the chairman of the Central Illinois Enforcement Group Policy Board. We review policy. We review contracts and agreements for our narcotics task force. And we also do things like this ICEJA grant that was just brought up. We also have an ICEJA grant that took a lot of work on the narcotics task force part to allow for each officer that is assigned to that unit to get a salary reimbursement, which we just started seeing this year. So instead of Lincoln paying our Lincoln guy his full well, we still pay his full salary, but we get reimbursed a portion of it now because he's dedicated to the unit, which may have to operate outside of his jurisdiction. ILEAS reporting, I have to tell ILEAS every few months how many people I have on staff, what kind of equipment I have, all types of other things to remain in compliance with them, which allows us to apply for and receive grants, and also a membership of ILEAS. So if we have a major incident, we have what's called the mobile field force that comes to assist us. ILETSB reporting is another big one, and that takes me into training. And I'll try to make this as brief as possible. I just want to make sure that you have all the information that I can provide. Our training has changed so much over the last couple of years that scheduling to make sure that we have the amount of people on the street that we have to carry. We have a minimum staffing of 3 patrolmen, and the maximum shift size of 5 right now. We have to send people all over to get the training that's required to remain in compliance with the Safety Act and with ILETSB's goals now, which means we have to constantly evaluate each officer's training records to see if they are or are going to be out of compliance. If they are out of compliance beginning next month, they'll have a very short period, a very short window to get into compliance, or their certificate will be suspended, which means they're not a law enforcement officer. Their arrest powers are suspended, which means they can't work, which means obviously we're in trouble. So,
Chief, just real quick on
Yes,
that.
sir.
Is there software that you guys can purchase that helps to keep track of all the trainings, when they expire, when things are being offered perhaps? And because I know like in non-public schools, you know, teachers in public schools, they have a tons of trainings that they have to go through, and there's softwares that are out there that, you know, will flag, send emails saying, hey, your training's coming up, or your license is about to expire, you need to get that renewed.
it's a good question, and the answer is yes, but no, we don't have to purchase it. Yes, we have it, but it's ran through the state. So ILETSB themselves has a web database of each officer, their training, their expiration dates. We have to send them the certificates from the training and then verify that they're tracking the same that we are. And we've run into that before where a guy is, he's flagged, but I have to call ILETSB and say, no, here's the real case. So it comes free to us there. And instead of just continuing to ramble on, I just open it up to questions. I'm not asking for an immediate answer next week. I'm asking for consideration in this. You guys all have time to think about it.
So what do you predict the domino effect would be? Obviously, you and I have been having conversations about this. So if you promote from within, then do you have to fill that person's spot, which then fills another person's spot, which then gets down to where we're hiring another on-the-street officer?
No, that's why I tried to explain that there is no domino effect. The 28th position, like when I got here, we were at 26, and then the council approved a 27th patrolman. And then finally, the last one that was approved was for that criminal investigations division spot. We've found that we can do everything that we needed to do with the amount of CID spots that we have. What also should be considered is that if you have an operations deputy chief instead of a violent crimes investigator, well, our current deputy chief was the violent crimes detective at the time. He has the capability, the training, and all of what he needs to assist the CID if they get overly busy. So the benefit is that they can do more than just one job.
Other questions for the chief? Mr. Gonzo?
I noticed in reading through this, it doesn't give a specific timeline. Are you looking at doing this at the beginning of the next fiscal year if this process is approved?
I don't have a 100% answer for you for that, but I can answer this. I don't plan on it happening before January because we have to get all 28 of our guys trained. We just graduated our last two out of the academy in August. They have to get through field training, and then depending on what their success level is in field training, we'll have to evaluate the likelihood of them making it through the probationary period as well. So no sooner than January, and obviously if it's the next fiscal year, it'd be beneficial to you because there'd be no amendments that need to be made.
Yeah, now if you did do that in the current fiscal year, would the money that you're going to be saving in the other position, would that be enough to offset this, or would we
Yeah, so
see that?
as I indicated in a portion of my memo, back in 2021, I was promoted to deputy chief in November of 2021. Shortly after that, one of our longest serving sergeants, Jim Raymond, retired, and his position was as a detective sergeant. Traditionally, CID always had 2 sergeants in it. I didn't agree with that, so I changed that in 2022, where I only remained with 1 sergeant in the Criminal Investigations Division. It's kind of like who's the boss? These guys are both sergeants, and they have the same job in the same division. And it just didn't make any sense. So went to 1 sergeant that leads that division now. He supervises 2 people, and then sometimes we'll move people in there temporarily if we're really busy, something like that, or there's a big case to work. And then he also supervises another kind of part-time detective that does, he's in the Illinois Crimes Against Children Task Force. So those are serious felony violation cases and need some supervision there too. So since that time, anywhere from 8,000, obviously our salary goes up a little bit every year. Anywhere from 8,607 to 10,527 currently has been saved annually by not filling that sergeant's position, just because of rank differential. That doesn't include another 5% that a sergeant detective gets for it's called special assignment pay or on-call pay, for a total of $14,286 annually. And then if we think about the fact that we've promoted another sergeant, that means they have to come from a corporal, and you would have to promote another corporal, which is there's your domino effect, and that ends up being $18,045 a year at our current salary rate for those positions.
So within the amounts that we've set forth in the budget for this year, that would be, I know going back to 2021, explain that, would that be enough of a savings to offset the creation?
I believe so, yeah.
Next 4 months.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's why I did the average difference between each position, just to show that we don't have an amount in the differences that are above that 18,000.
Has any,
If that makes sense.
beginning of the fiscal year, has anything changed in the department that would require or necessitate this that didn't exist?
No, it was always a necessity. It's been a necessity for years and years, and kind of as I indicated in the beginning of my letter to the council, I'm not trying to say this was my idea. It's been an idea for a long time, but an idea that either was unaddressed, or somebody didn't think was possible, or they're afraid to ask. I don't know why it wasn't brought up, but the reason why I haven't brought it up until now is because I knew it was impossible with the staffing shortages we had. It would have been impossible.
Okay. Other questions for the chief? Okay. So place this on the regular agenda. Okay. Thanks, chief.
Yeah, and don't feel free, if anybody thinks of questions later, to call or email me. I'd be happy to answer anything.
Yeah, and can you keep us updated as you learn more about your timeline about when you want to
Absolutely.
act on this? Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, next up's item number 11, potential annexation of farmland into the city of Lincoln to expand the Keystone Solar Project. Mr. Hoblet.
So we had set this over with the idea that potentially that we could move on this on the October 7th, I believe, meeting date. Since then, I've spoken, I believe Mr. Bateman, I've spoken with Keystone and their representatives. They're still in the discussion phase with Mr. Cross. They have to get a survey out there for where they want to put the actual solar panels. I believe they came back yesterday. Ameren came back. I believe there's a service line underneath there of some. It's pretty good Yeah, and Mr. Bateman can speak on that if he so chooses. But it put another little kink in the system there. I think they have it down to either 2 or 3 parcels. They just have to, for the purpose of annexation, we don't need a survey or anything of that nature. I would just need the parcel numbers of which they would like to be annexed in a legal description. So they're still in the discussion phase with Mr. Cross, because I believe there's also some tax questions that need to be sorted out. So I think the new timeline on this is to the latter part of October, and to the new part or to the early part of November. I would say that the item that we previously thought we were going to have on for the 7th will now no longer be a voting item for that respective voting meeting.
Mr. Bateman, did you have something on this?
Basically, there's a very large gas line that Ameren failed to mention. So they have to reconfigure the solar farm because of setback rules for that gas line. So instead of 1 parcel, this may be a couple or maybe 3 parcels. From what I know, it will still only be between Mr. Cross and Keystone, and then the annexation of the properties. It still will touch our property. They just may have to go back a little further from the property that touches ours. So they have heard back from Ameren. They did get awarded the interconnect, so that was really good news. So now they're just figuring out, once they reconfigure the solar grid, then they'll be able to tell us what parcel numbers they're looking at annexing into the city. So, but I just want to reiterate, it's still going to be between Mr. Cross and Keystone. It will not involve any other properties or property owners.
So no action required on our part at this time.
They will let us know when they have the parcel numbers and ready to move forward. It may be the next cow, but it's not this one.
Okay. All right. Anybody have questions for John or Kevin on that? Okay. Thank you. Okay, that brings us down to announcements. Actually, before we get into announcements, I have a couple items I'd like to ask that were not on the agenda that I'd like to ask the council to place on the agenda next week, and that is the advise and consent to the mayoral appointment of April Jensen and Adam Westbecker to the Historic Preservation Commission. We were at a, I wouldn't even say dangerously low number of members on that commission. We were down to, I think, 1, maybe 2. So we've been working pretty hard at getting interested people to be on that commission. And I spoke with both of these individuals today. They are interested. So if there's no concerns, I'd like to put that on the regular agenda. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Now we can get down to announcements. The first one that I have is there's going to be a ribbon cut on Saturday, 9/27. It's Saturday, right? At 10 a.m. at the David W. Schroeder Memorial Garden. This is the community garden that's on Logan Street. It's been going for a number of years, and they're going to have a ribbon cut at the garden this year. So if you can attend on the 27th at 10 a.m. Next one is movie night in the park. This is our first. We're going to do 2 this year. We did a poll, and the movie we're going to play is Jumanji. So we're going to do that this Friday at the 8th Street Park. It's at 7 p.m. The DARE program is going to be out there cooking hot dogs again. We'll have chips and water. If you'd like to come, you can bring refreshments there. I thought maybe there was going to be a food truck there. Maybe not the food truck, but the Lulu's. I think they may be there, but absolutely no alcohol at the park. So bring whatever you'd like except for alcohol. Mr. Bateman.
Sure. Well, Walt's not here. I was going to say, can we drive the mosquito truck around on 8th Street? I'm assuming that same chemical kills the gnats. It is a
Yes.
natty thing out there right now.
Yep. I'll put that down and ask him to. And also worth pointing out that the movie nights wouldn't be possible if it weren't for the park district. They help us out. They provide the equipment and show up, and then Walt's crew gives us a generator to run the equipment as well, the DVD player and the screen and stuff. So it's a nice little collaboration, and it happens to be in the same location that we plan to build the pavilion. So if you want to know where the pavilion's going to go and see kind of conceptually how that may work later in years to come, come on out, bring your family, bring your friends. Okay,
Mayor,
Mr. Parrott.
sorry, thank you. Do we know anybody that knows anything about electricity that might be able to run some stuff out there?
Yeah. Well, you mean like this year?
Well, maybe in the future, just saying.
Well, so for the pavilion, we are going to run conduit for the pavilion, so we'll have a power supply there. Yeah, and the generator works great, except for last year, the very first one, the way we had it positioned in the Gator, the carbon monoxide actually filled the trailer of the Gator, and it's got a safety shut off, and we were in the middle of the movie, and it killed the generator.
It's a blow up screen, so it was
Yeah.
kind of nice. You got to watch the screen. all-
DVD stopped, screen went down. It's intermission. So yeah. Okay, I'll open it up to the floor for anybody that's got an announcement. Anybody? Okay, if there are, excuse me. Yeah, you want to talk about it?
Well, I only got Dennis and I got to ride in Mrs. Bateman's golf cart, and they got to throw out candy, and that's the only part I got to see was the float in front of me.
Oh.
But we had to dodge some road apples. Somebody decided to bring a horse, which I don't know why they would do that.
Well, you know,
At
I
the
mean-
end of the parade, but put the horse at the end of the parade, not toward
we
the
are
front.
we are a rural community.
But it was a good turnout.
Good.
Good weather, a lot of candy, a lot of kids.
Mr. Parrott.
Yeah, we had some discussion, I think, out there in Keokuk. Was it Keokuk? They did some whitewashing out there, and I think that was taken
Yes.
care of.
I called the chief about that after you spoke with me.
They were whitewashing at 4:37 a.m. I went out
Hadn't
that
heard
way, and they were out there doing it again.
Really? I didn't hear about that part
So
of it.
anybody who whitewashes, next year there will be a strict, to just describe it, I was coming home eastbound on Woodlawn, and I'm assuming Steve was back behind us. A car pulled up on Woodlawn Road sideways.
Keokuk,
and-
wasn't it?
Keokuk,
Yeah.
Woodlawn, Keokuk, state route, and blocked both westbound lanes of traffic to get out and whitewash on a state route. We thought the car was broke down and we were going to stop and help push it. And then other people stopped, and I turned to Mrs. Bateman. I said, "Well, they've got it. We won't stop and push." And then the next thing you know, Steve calls. He goes, "They're out there whitewashing," and stopped a highway.
Yeah. So that became a little bit contentious between the whitewasher and the officers who responded at first. Everything ended up working out, but I would say if there are any safety concerns whatsoever, we're not going to allow it. And I know Walt feels the same way because we talked about it. I know it's a good tradition to take part in and celebrate homecoming, and I don't think it should have to stop, but anywhere that it's causing a safety concern, it's going to be stopped.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a conversation to be had with the individual that files the request
Yeah,
for
we
permit.
don't whitewash the railroad tracks. You know, it kind of seems like it was a common sense thing to me. Yeah. Don't whitewash a 4-lane road.
It was during one of the shortly like 5:30, 6 o'clock at night or whatever.
I'm assuming it was a family who had a child that was what they felt was the most appropriate place for it, but safety is important.
It is the highest visible place, but I went back, and the front of that house faces a side street. I'm assuming they wanted it so everybody could see it, which didn't last more than a few seconds by the time a few hundred cars ran over some wet whitewash. When I drove out the next morning, they were whitewashing the sidewalk.
Well,
Well, unfortunately for all the participants, like the Wyatt Avenue thing they do every year, I was taking my daughter to school the next morning, and of course, all the whitewashing they did was gone because of rain. But yeah,
Like the chief said, don't want to stop the whitewashing. We'll just have to put some restrictions on where, because if this young individual is first year student, obviously they'll be there the next couple years. So,
is it just seniors?
It used to just be a senior thing.
Is it just
that you
seniors?
Whitewashed in front of the seniors' houses. Do they not, is it not just a senior thing anymore?
oh, okay, well, this was on Woodline Road, on the curve.
I think we drove through that.
Okay. All right. One more thing I thought of. So, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. I'll share information later. But this past weekend, Mr. Hoblet and I attended the Illinois Municipal League in Chicago. First time I had gone since I've been an alderman. Actually, I've never been, and I will say that it was very worthwhile. I learned a lot, and there's actually going to be some things I'm going to bring to the council to talk about in the future by way of economic development, things that other communities have done that they shared that I found that were extremely valuable. I sat in on some sessions about artificial intelligence being used in municipalities, which we don't think about too often, but it's a thing. Cybersecurity, things that we need to be conscious about. Ethics was discussed. I sat through a discussion about ethics, and I thought it was very enlightening. It was from lawyers that deal with that information. So I'm going to put a summary together. I haven't had a chance since I got back. I'll bring it back to the council so we can talk about some of the things. So, Mr. Hoblet, did you have anything to share about your experience this year?
I attended the attorneys seminars that they had there. A lot of the impetus, the focus was on police chases and the changes that have happened when there is an active chase and how that might affect a court case in the event that there's a litigation. There was a lot of emphasis as well on putting together comprehensive bid packages for those to try to avoid scenarios where someone is unhappy when they're not awarded a bid, what to do when somebody is unhappy about if they don't get it. And there was there's a few that were all about the bidding procedure and what to do about if somebody wants to appeal that they did not get a bid, and having a process for that, which I don't believe we have, but we could certainly institute. But yeah, there was worthwhile things that were learned. I always find it to be a very worthwhile event because you not only do you network with the other communities, and you can learn from them as to what they're doing or what they're not doing, but you also get to attend these programs that will kind of educate you a bit about not only about the new updates, which I get every year. They always have Freedom of Information Act updates and Open Meeting Act updates and changes, which are a laundry list every year. But those other things that I mentioned, I never really attend. The ones that, like, say that the mayor is able to attend, like there's a mayor's roundtable, there's an alderperson's roundtable, there's like a treasurer's roundtable, a city clerk's roundtable that occur I believe on Friday. I believe the mayor was able to attend the TIF sessions that were taking place at the same time as the attorney ones. I would have liked to have gone to those, but because they were taking place at the same time, I was glad that there was somebody from Lincoln there that could attend those and pick up the information from those.
That was all morning Thursday. A lot of good stuff. Mr. Parrott.
I was out of town this past weekend for a family wedding and all, and just didn't know if there was any anybody can speak to the rail splitter this past weekend. Was that this past weekend?
Yeah, I know Mr. Bateman, Mrs. Bateman, and Mr. Downs, I believe, and Mr. Clemens, attended the ribbon cut. And then I went to the rechristening and the professional log splitting on Sunday. Were you there Saturday? I understand maybe Saturday there was some weather that came through.
Yeah, there was. I mean, the crowd was pretty good up until then. And it must have been close to 3 o'clock, I guess. It was quite a downpour.
Yeah.
And the crowd kind of dispersed after that, although so there were still some people that were in attendance after that.
Good.
But there were a lot of people that came through Postville Courthouse early, prior to that time, from the time you were there for the ribbon cut until the storm.
I didn't make the ribbon cut, unfortunately.
Oh, that's right.
I wasn't back yet, but we were well represented. Mr. Bateman.
I was asked to represent the city, and I'm going to take the opportunity now to say what I said there. This is, events like that have been going on for over a decade, sometime decades, are few and far between in Illinois. And fortunately for us here in Logan County, we have several events that have been going on for quite a while. But, very big but, the same scenario is happening in all of those events. Is the organizers and the people who are putting it on have the same hair color that I have. And luckily for the rail splitter, Darius Knauer started that, and then Bob Rankin and some others took it over on his retirement and passing. And I just want to reiterate that if people out there, you don't have to be, Gen Z or anything. We started the barbecue competition. I was almost in my late 40s. So you get some time on your hand. You might want to, if you like these events, you might contact the people that are in charge and see how you can get involved so we can keep these things going. Because as I've said many a times, just my organization alone, most of the people are in their 70s. So hope we can get some young people to keep these things going for decades past us. So please consider that.
Okay. Anything else? Mr. Downs.
I just remembered this. I want to invite the public Saturday at noon to Scully Park. There's a walk for recovery to celebrate the accomplishments of people in recovery. There's going to be speakers, guest speakers, stories, networking. Yeah, it starts at noon. I think it goes from noon to 3. There is a walk involved. I don't know what time that starts. It's about a 15-minute walk. But those folks would appreciate the support.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing. Okay. Anything else? Okay, if there is nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Alderman Parrott made the motion. Alderwoman O'Donohue second. All in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. This meeting is adjourned at 7:11 p.m.